Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Texties, another podcast. Today we have very special guest with us. She is someone who joined us from Italy, and she is going to share her story that how she is spending her quarantine life, and the most important thing that how she started her own company, IC Bellagio. She's also a member of World Travel and Tourism Council. She originally belongs to UK, but she decided to settle in Italy. We are going to know that how that all of that came to happen. By the way, I welcome you wholeheartedly, Andrea,
Thank
for
you.
sparing out time, taking out time for this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Great to see you.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to have you. So, by the way, when it comes to your story, first of all, you had a travel journey, long travel journey, and then you decided to settle in Italy. How that came to happen, and how your travel and tourism company started? Can you please share your story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm originally from the UK, actually Northwest England, an area called the Lake District. The region is Cumbria. And I always had this amazing grand passion for travel and international travel from since I can remember. And when I was basically old enough to be accepted, I applied and immediately was offered a placement overseas working for a British tour operator as an overseas representative. So I was working primarily with an English clientele and I was based in resort. And so my first experience was in a place called Kavos on the island of Corfu, Greece. And my responsibilities were to meet and greet our guests at the airport, transfer them to resort, do the check-in at the various properties, welcome meeting, accompany them on various excursions, as we called them back then, and of course be available to give them full assistance 24/7. I actually did a total of 7 seasons with that British tour operator, working in other destinations as well, until I finally ended up in Lake Como and said, okay, this is not a bad place to be. I actually ended up in Italy by pure chance. Prior to coming to Lake Como, I was supposed to go skiing in France in the winter for the ski season. And during a training course in Austria, they asked if I would mind going to Italy instead. And I said, why not? Italy or France, the same thing. And ended up in Cavallese, which is a beautiful town in Val di Fiemme in the Dolomites, for the winter, and of course fell in love with Italy like so many people do, and asked to stay for the summer. Came to Lake Como for the very first time and have never left. Only on trips or vacations, but Italy then became my home. And I've been here now almost 28 years, almost 30 years. So yeah, going on for 29 years.
So you are in Italy from more than 28 years, close to 30 years, as you just
Yeah,
mentioned.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So wow, what is that one thing which made you stay in Italy? Like
I,
yeah.
I have to say, I would say it's the lifestyle. And I think even today when we talk to our travelers, and one of my favorite questions to ask people is why are you coming to Italy? Why did you choose Italy as the destination for your trip this year? And the Italian lifestyle, of course, food and wine as well has a lot to do with it. But I think the lifestyle in general, and of course the people, is really the huge attraction for so many of our travelers, just as it was for myself way back when.
Wow. So by the way, how you started your own company, how you came up with an idea of IC Bellagio, because you started this company back in 1999, which is a destination specialist. You are a destination specialist provider. So how that came to happen? What was the inspiration behind?
So after all of that great experience with the tour operator, I wanted to stay within the tourism industry, the travel industry, but do something different. And I also managed to squeeze in a season working in a hotel as well, as I absolutely love hotels. I'm very passionate about them, and I really wanted to learn more about that business. But I also got my guide license to be a local tour guide and tour manager. and was doing a lot of work as a tour guide and a tour manager, particularly local here in Lake Como. That was when I really started to work with a more international, mainly American clientele, the kind of clients I would say that we serve today. And building up the business and the contacts and opportunities, and I'm the kind of person who jumps off the cliff and works out where the parachute is on the way down. So whenever people would ask me, can you help me in Positano, for example, I would say yes. And of course, I had no clue where Positano was, how I was going to make it happen, but I did. And one fine day, our accountant grabbed me and said, you cannot do all that you are doing and say you are still a tour guide. You're really a destination specialist, or some people call us a DMC. And so that is how the company was born back in 1999. And it was just myself back then. And let's just say we've evolved quite a lot. I do know where Positano is right now, and it's certainly one of our top destinations, of course, as you can imagine. But yeah, a lot of experience over the years, and I think I'm very fortunate. Italy is #1 destination for so many travelers for so many reasons across the world, and
without any doubt.
I'm in a destination which, everybody loves and everybody dreams not only of coming to, but a lot of our travelers are repeat travelers to Italy as well. It's a destination that, we have 20 regions. And while a first-time traveler will probably look at places like Rome, Florence, Venice, or Tuscany, the Tuscan countryside, or the Lakes region, Amalfi Coast, of course, we have much more to offer them as well. And I think slowly, as people get more confident in the destination and in Italy and what it can provide, then it really just keeps encouraging them to come on back.
Wow. By the way, when it comes to Italy, it's really a nice place, and it's really a hotspot for travelers, all the travelers
Absolutely.
across the globe. Yeah. So, by the way, when it started, you are a sole founder, as you just mentioned. You're a sole founder of a company. What hardships you faced? What was the hardships? What was the most hardest thing which you came across during your initial days?
I think
when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's a kind of journey which is on a bumpy road. It's full of sweat and tears. There are so many hardships. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to achieve.
No, it's not a hardship. I think, obviously I was living in, or I still am living in a country which wasn't mine. And I was also working in a different language, which I learned in my early 20s, which is not the same as growing up, having the language. And in the beginning, I would say the bureaucracy was extremely challenging and frustrating. Especially as, coming from the UK, I expected everything to be black and white and fit into a nice little box. And, Italy is quite different in that respect, but of course that is not always a disadvantage. So it was just a case of, learning how to look at challenges as opportunities. In fact, one of our rules here in the company is we don't have problems, we have opportunities. And I think just that change of mindset, it truly helps you, get through days which are very, very, difficult. And, one thing I remind myself each and every day, and also I encourage the team to remember, is, we do not save people's lives. We create incredible travel experiences, but no matter how bad something may be, or if a mistake is made or something, at the end of the day, we do not save people's lives. What we are doing is creating amazing travel experiences, and we've just got to do our very, very best and know that we've done that for our travelers, and not beat ourselves up if things, don't go as perfect as every now and then as what we would like them to do.
Wow. So by the way, while hearing, I was thinking that you are a kind of person, I'm just imagining that you're a kind of person who is consistent, number one, and number two, who don't take problem as a problem. You think it in a way that how you can solve that problem and step ahead. And you adopt it to a different culture. And I think this is really a huge thing, that you migrated from one city, one country to other country, and you developed a successful business. I think you are really a true example of entrepreneurship for everyone. So, by
Thank
the way,
you.
when it comes to IC Bellagio, since it came into being, since gone from strength to strength, winning several awards from prestigious organizations, it must be an honor. Was this one of your goals? How that happened?
I think I can tell you, I remember the very first big award we won was back in 2006. And I can remember that the most clear one. We were in the most beautiful ballroom at the Hotel Bellagio in Las Vegas. It was the Virtuoso Travel Week event. And I was sitting with some of my closest and oldest and very dear friends from Made for Spain and Portugal, which they do the same job as myself in Spain and Portugal. And when this award came up and they showed the nominees, which were 5 companies, and we saw our 2 company names up there, we almost had a heart attack just at that thought. And, when they actually announced...
That was a very happy and excited moment for you guys.
Yeah, it was more of a heart attack, in all honesty, like, what, they've got it wrong, what are we doing up there? And then when I actually won, I think we were in total and utter disbelief. Because it's not, we just probably never realized, I guess, just working our way so hard and, trying always really to constantly improve, to share our experience, to get experience shares from our colleagues across the world. We have some amazing friends and colleagues across the world who have companies who've been around much longer than ourselves. And, we always try to talk to these people, to really learn from them, to take something away. And, apart from doing the right thing, which I mentioned to you earlier, we really do want to continuously improve not only what we do for our travelers and the experiences that we provide, but also for our travel advisors. 85% of our business is B2B. The 15% is B2C. And a huge part of our business is, making the travel advisor look good. That is why we exist. And of course, we learn through the travel advisors, but also talking to our people on the ground. We have an amazing community throughout Italy, our drivers, our guides, our hosts, etc. And these are people who are representing our brand, they're representing our company, and learning from them so much and listening to them. I think there's just a great opportunity there each and every day to do something a little bit different and, of course, a lot better.
Wow, that's really great. So you people are really focused on experience and all that. So, by the way, when it comes to, I was reading somewhere that right now, when it comes to your company, IC Bellagio is at a place where no request is big for them. When it comes to Italy, you can fulfill any kind of request for any kind of customer.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, we are absolutely 100%.
I think it's really a huge achievement from starting from scratch and taking your company to the next level. Wow.
Yeah, I just really wanted to always do the right thing for the traveler. And of course, every single request, if we didn't automatically have that contact or have that experience, let's say, ready or know where we could develop it, it's an opportunity to go out there and find the solution. And, as you know, often when you're driving, for example, in the Tuscan countryside and you're trying to find the destination, getting lost is actually when you find the best places. So, the journey, I think, was very much like that. And just felt an opportunity to create so many amazing experiences that really allow us to give so much access to our guests to the Italian lifestyle. And I can tell you from every single request we receive today, everybody is seeking that authentic Italian lifestyle experience. They want to get close to the people. They want to feel like a neighbor, not a tourist. They want to live as a local. And so, with our great community throughout Italy, we've really worked hard at this. And even today, just this morning we had a meeting and we're working on even more new product. I've just come back from Rome. I was there Monday and Tuesday, and we just worked on some great new tour experiences that we are developing right now. So it's constant development, and of course, constantly looking at how we can keep personalizing even more and really keep increasing the enjoyment of the client experience.
Wow. I think when it comes to IC Bellagio, I read it in a lot of articles that you people focus on native experience, like travelers can enjoy like locals when it comes to your services. I think this is something which is really great. By the way, when it comes to everyone is under quarantine nowadays, we all know that there is a little ease in the lockdown, borders are being opened, travel and tourism industries are being opened. By the way, what is the situation when it comes to travel and tourism over there in Italy? And can you please tell us a little bit about, before going for that what is the positive and negative impact of COVID and lockdown on your personal life?
So pre-COVID, which for me was up until around the 19th of February, it was kind of something that we were hearing about in China and, not really worried about, or even imagining that it was going to be, so strong, not only in Italy, but across the world. It was going to be a very, very good year. Our numbers were way up. We were showing double-digit growth once again. Literally at the end of January, I gave a huge presentation on the opportunities that overcrowding brings, because, Italy was really starting to get known for over tourism or overcrowding. And, every request, especially in high season, was, how do we stay away from the crowds? How do we really get a good experience and not end up in the middle of so many people? And right away, when after that weekend of the 19th of February, when it became very, very clear that it was something that really was going to be on our radar and we were starting to have to worry about, it was again there a case of, how do we deal with this? What are we dealing with? I would say the biggest challenge in the very beginning, in the first month or the first month and a half for us, was just the continuous change of information. What was at 9 a.m. was no longer at 10 a.m. Something that was happening at 10 a.m. was no longer at 1 p.m. So, our huge focus from day one was to keep everyone informed of being on the ground. Whatever news channel you watch, it doesn't matter which country the news channel is coming from, one will tell you one story, and you go on the other channel and perhaps you get a very different version. And
Absolutely true, yeah.
We found ourselves immediately being the people to go to and to listen to for the truth on what was truly happening on the ground. However, we were posting 3 times a day on social media. And we always, no matter what the news was, we put a positive spin on it, because, as you know, there's so much negativity. And I think there's always the opportunity to be positive in any situation. And we made a real effort to do that. And I think it's something that we'll probably be known for quite a few years to come. But I think it also helped us a lot get through it personally. I think the biggest challenge for me personally, apart from, the only certainty in my life was uncertainty for all of that time, as with so many people, was that because we are the center of this huge community, we had so many people either locally here or, people who are part of our community, or hoteliers or guides or drivers, calling us with their, telling us about what they were worried about and how depressed they were and their investments and how am I going to do this. And of course, we were being extremely supportive of them. But at the end of the day, we were also going home absolutely exhausted. And, in the end, we really had to put up some boundaries about, the phone calls that we would let in and the conversations we had and what our expectations were of the people also within our circle. And in fact, if there's any bad news to share now, people are always very, they think twice about calling, and they also think twice about how they approach it, because they know that, it doesn't matter what the news is. but tell us it in a positive manner, and tell us what we need to know, and let us go out there, let us be positive, and help us to save the work and the business and the jobs for so many people, which has been our aim from day one.
Well, I think when it comes to spreading positivity, you were involved in spreading this positivity around, and I think this is something which is really great, and that was much needed because a lot of people were feeling depressed at that point in time because they were in quarantine, they were unable to step out, and there were a lot of things going on. By the way,
Sure.
when it comes to travel and tourism industry, the previous norm world used to have, what will be the new normal? Like that normal is not going to come back anytime soon. So what will be the new normal? Because you are working in travel and tourism sector. So what will be the new normal? And you're also the member of World Travel and Tourism Council. So what do you think, which new protocols travelers have to follow while traveling internationally or when someone is coming to Italy?
So I strongly believe that the WTTC, the World Travel and Tourism Council, they are working very, very close with various states and governments. And, the idea is to have protocols which can perhaps even be used at places like airports. So there's at the least manual things happening as possible. Everything is electronic. You have to touch as few things as possible, and the airport experience is also very, very quick and very efficient. I do believe that for the foreseeable future, we will be seeing fewer clients perhaps than what we will have seen and been enjoying in the last few years. However, I do believe that these people will be traveling well, and we'll call them the early adopters just for, for this conversation's sake. And I believe they're the kind of people who are going to want to be the first ones on the plane and the first ones back in Italy. And I think this is an amazing time to be in Italy. It's like any disaster that happens, the first people who return to that destination will live that destination in a way that not many people get to enjoy it. I mentioned earlier I was just in Rome, and I was in the Square of St. Peter's, and also I went to the Vatican Museum, the Sistine Chapel, the Basilica, the Colosseum. I went bike riding at 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. And to enjoy Rome with the blue skies and the most amazing weather and so few people and, much reduced traffic in the middle of the summer is something that I truly do not believe we're going to see for a very long time. So I think the early adopters and the first travelers that we see back are really, really going to have the most incredible experience. We will have to persuade our travelers to really make their minds up much quicker. As I believe last minute travel in the future is really going to mean that people are not going to get reservations to sites like Pompeii or to see the Accademia perhaps or the Vatican Museum at the timings and the days that they want, because they're going to have much reduced entrances, which for our kind of traveler is fantastic news because they're going to have a lot less people around them. I also believe that post-COVID travel is going to be bringing us a lot of people traveling 12 months of the year as opposed to the classical, summer season from Easter through to the end of October, November, which again, I think is amazing news for the country, but more so for the traveler, because being in somewhere like Venice, in November and December is absolutely magical. And as the huge focus is on living as a local or that authentic experience, what better time to do that than in the winter months when there's so much fewer people around?
Yeah. So now if someone is going to come to Italy, they are going to have the best of the best experience because many few people are traveling, just few people are traveling. So by the way,
Absolutely.
when it comes to building trust in travelers, are you
Yeah.
people running some campaign or are you people doing something regarding that? Because there will be a huge trust factor in travelers that either they're going to travel safe. How you're ensuring that?
Okay, so that's a great question. As part of the World Travel and Tourism Council, both myself and my colleague Virna, we were part of we still are part of 2 work groups, and we worked on protocols for safe travel, which is something that is available to companies like ourselves, to hotels, and also to destinations. And they're basically guidelines or protocols, procedures that WTTC recommends, and then the destination or the company will actually adhere to them and agree to them, and they will have the safe travel stamp. What we've also been doing is we've been doing a lot of video, we've been doing a lot of communication around what the actual experience is, because I believe it's truly important for us to show people what they will expect. What does it look like? And let the traveler decide, yes, I'm really comfortable going to Italy. I know I'm going to be wearing a mask. I know perhaps I'm not going to be hugging and kissing people, which is perhaps what I would have been doing pre-COVID, that I'm very happy to elbow them, elbow to elbow. And I'm just really, that's the kind of experience that I'm comfortable with. I can still go to my trattoria, I can still do my pizza lesson, I can still do my aperitivo tour and enjoy the Colosseum. So, I believe people can still enjoy what they would have enjoyed before. The only thing that I think is missing is, those hugging and kissing moments that, as you know, once people go for an experience with their guide or their driver or perhaps on a tour, by the end of it, they're definitely amazing friends with their host. And usually, a hug and 2 kisses on the cheek is something that's called for at the end of the experience. So that is the only thing I feel would be missing post-COVID in the near future.
So people can enjoy more because of less crowd, but definitely they have to follow the new protocols, the new normal world is going to have. So,
absolutely.
By the way, can you please tell us that what you are focused on nowadays and what you are most proud of in your life? Because you did so many things in life. So what you are most proud of?
So I think I have to say, the impact or the opportunity to have a positive influence on the lives of others. When I speak to people who are part of our extended community, our guides, our hoteliers, our drivers, our villas, just knowing what IC Bellagio actually provides for them and their family and the difference positively that we've made to their lives. Also, one of our favorite charities and one that is dear to my heart is supporting Guide Dogs for the Blind. And just by doing what we would do, we were able to provide 2 guide dogs to 2 people last year who are blind, and that has completely changed their lives. So I think, in line with the company vision, which is to improve 30,000 lives per year through travel, hospitality, education, employment, and opportunity, living our company vision is probably what gives me most personal satisfaction and what I would say I was most proud of.
Wow. By the way, I was reading somewhere that when it comes to IC Bellagio, you people truly believe in giving back to the society. You also offer internship for students. You people are also supporting different charity companies. So I think this is something which is really great, and other companies need to follow your footsteps on specifically on this thing. So yeah. So it's you are contributing to make world a better place. Yeah. By the way, can you tell us a little bit about your travel plans? Because in 2020, prior to this pandemic, everyone had a plan that I'm gonna travel this place, I'm gonna do this, and which plans you were unable to complete. Can you please share a little on that?
So if you think for business, I travel about 120 days a year. I had a lot of business trips cancelled across the world. But personally, as I had a big birthday this year, and my birthday present to myself was to hike to base camp Mount Everest with my partner Alessandro, and we were due to leave on the 7th of March, which is the day that we actually went into lockdown. And we made the decision about 3 days prior not to go because of the situation. And so that trip has been suspended. We are looking forward to being able to enjoy the trip, hopefully the same time next year. And I'm sure we'll be up there, and I'll be sure to send you some photos and tell you all about it.
So by the way, last thing, if someone is traveling and they want to enjoy luxury when it comes to Italian luxury and pure Italian experience, how they can contact your company and how they can use your services? And last thing, that what is your advice for the listeners, for the audience?
What is the advice for the listeners, sorry, regarding?
Yeah, what is your last advice for the listeners? And if someone wants to contact you in terms of they want to, they are visiting Italy and they want to experience Italy, how they can utilize your services when it comes to IC Bellagio, how people can contact you guys?
Okay, so I would say the best way is if you go to our website, which is icbellagio.com, and then from there you can find our contact details. Just whiz us an email and we'll get back to you right away. We do have a 24-hour response policy. We do love to have phone calls with people as well to help us really create the best trip, because everything we do is personalized. We really ask for a big investment in time, if you like, on the phone call, at least the initial phone call in the beginning. We'd love to be on the phone at least a good half hour with our travelers to truly understand what they're looking for, why they've chosen Italy, what kind of pace, how busy they want to be, what are the kind of accommodations they would like to enjoy. Do they want to be running? Do they want to be on vacation? Do they want to feel like they need a vacation at the end of it? All, with lots of questions. So the more time that, we can receive from the traveler to chat with us, the better. Moving forward, the best advice I would say is find a positive spin on every situation, because it really does change your mood. And I think if you're able to stay personally positive, it has a knock-on effect on everybody around you.
I think this is really a great message, which you just shared at the end. And I'm going to share her website link in the comment section. I'm going to ask my team to share the website link. And thank you so much once again for sparing out time for this podcast. It's really nice chatting. It's really nice talking to you. And secondly, your story is so impressive. I hope everyone loved to hear your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chat soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.